Getting a lot of questions asked about gradient pressure. I'm completely sidestepping that you have to have pressure in the first place, ignoring the law of entropy, the law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, completely disregarding that you have to have a container to have a vacuum. You have to have a container to have gas pressure. Perhaps this will clarify things for you in your fundamentalist brain in Narnia.
This was labeled, it was 18 hours ago on Dr. Becky's channel, Black Holes Kill Galaxies, ? My Astrophysics PhD Part 2. I believe that was where this was listed, so let me go to it now. And obviously, I said when I was listening to it, she brought up the topic of gas particles in space and gases in space. I said, gas in space? 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum next to gas pressure? Maybe in Narnia. Funny face.
Keep in mind, 10 to the 17 minus torr, we cannot even recreate that type of gas, absence of gas, that type of vacuum here on Earth. We just simply can't do it. It's way beyond any type of absence of gas or vacuum that we can create. The best we can do is 10 to the minus torr. Think about that.
And I got a response from Just Looking, one of the followers of the channel. You guys, Flurfs, oh my God. You should be embarrassed to even be commenting here. But I'll answer your insinuation. First off, a vacuum is not a force on its own. It's merely the absence of matter in space-time continuum. To put it bluntly, a vacuum doesn't suck. Secondly, in areas where there is matter, it is the matter itself that causes pressure, whether gas, liquid, or solid. The matter is subject to all the local forces that we typically found, maybe, up to and including gravity. Next to planets such as Earth, when gravity is greater than the other forces acting on the matter, then matter will gravitate towards the center.
Gravity is not a force. Gravity is pseudoscience. Gravity is conceptual. And it's only Einsteinian. Newtonian gravity does not exist. Look it up.
Mass. As a result, second slide, as a result of the foregoing, there's well-measured and demonstrable pressure gradient up through Earth's atmosphere. Pressure at sea level, 14.69 psig. Pressure at Everest summit, 4.89 psig. Pressure past the Kármán line, 0.00 psig. As you can see, the pressure difference is far greater between Everest summit and sea level, 10 psig, than Everest summit and space, 4.89 psig. So I ask you, why does the pressure between Everest and sea level not try to equalize? ? Because the force of gravity is greater than the energy of the gas in the atmosphere is. Why?
Must have not been keeping up.
Pick it apart.
Must have not been keeping up with the times. Even the times 100 years ago, where gravity stopped being a force, or considered to be a force. What is wrong with this person? I don't get it.
So let's start with his straw man. You didn't assert that it was going to be sucking anything. You said gas in space, 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum next to gas pressure, maybe in Narnia. You didn't assert anything about sucking. Secondly, it doesn't have a force. There are no forces of gravity. Gravity is not a force. Let's quote Brian Cox. Dr. Brian Cox. Gravity is not really a force at all. End quote. Or George Musa. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. End quote. Gravity is not a force. So it doesn't have anything to override the entropy that would take place should the sky be a vacuum. Now he mentions the Kármán line. Well, that'd be the edge of space, right? What's it pressing on at the Kármán line? Oh, nothing. It's just got an available volume to fill, and fill it must. That's called entropy. It's a natural law. So what he's describing is a second law of thermodynamics violation, as opposed to any proof that you have a sky vacuum. He's describing a violation of natural law and justifying it by saying that we have a pressure differential, a delta of gas pressure. How do we have the gas pressure in the first place? To form a pressure gradient, if the sky is merely an available volume for that gas to fill, because gas expands in all directions to fill the available volume. So the sky, if it was a vacuum, well, the gas, like these clouds here, high pressure gas, they're going to want to fill this space. That's what gas does, it expands at high velocity in all directions.
Did you see what he just said? The clouds are going to want to fill the available space on an open system, according to the rhetoric of Ball Earth. What's holding those clouds down? Gravity isn't a force. Look it up. I told you, look it up. Gravity is an effect, not a force. You're so fucking stupid.
So if this bit here is a vacuum, then the gas is going to want to fill it. The pressure gradient's a delta of gas pressure. Gas, pressure, gradient still needs containment to form gas pressure and then form gas pressure gradient. So this is a red herring fallacy. Doesn't address the question. How can you have 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum if we're breathing gas pressure? You can't, it violates natural law. Thanks, 10th man. Good little back and forth. Did you...
See, the problem is when the information finally gets out, which it slowly has been, even through this suppression of it and all the shitty little things they do, like create fake viruses to keep the truth movement down, it's going to be more than one police station burnt. I assure you.
Reply?
No, not yet. There's only when I did this, it was only, well, right now it's more than 6 hours ago, but...
The reply is, how can you have gas pressure in the first place to have a gas pressure gradient if the sky is an available volume for the gas to fill? Second law of thermodynamics would dictate that the gas would fill the space.
Yeah, there's many problems there.
All they have is gradient. They go on and on about gradient. Can you tell me about gradient? Can you tell me about what the fuck does gradient have to do with the fact that you need pressure in the first place? And the only way to get the pressure is to have something to press upon. The gas moves freely and randomly in all directions. What's keeping it down? Huh? It's not gravity. You'll keep saying that because you're programming. You're programmed to say gravity. Gravity is not a force. What do you have after that? Bitch.
Very good. Very good. They want gravity to be a force even when the priests tell them it isn't. Like yesterday when we were discussing this. To form a pressure gradient, if the sky is an available volume for the gas to fill. Second law of thermodynamics would dictate that the gas would fill the space.
Yeah, there's many problems there.
Very good. They want gravity to be a force even when the priests tell them it isn't. Like yesterday when we were discussing this. Even if the priests tell them. Let's use it for instance. Oh, George Musa again, why not? Let's use the quote I just used. When that was told to an individual who was challenging Sleeping Warrior in regards to his use of a former quote from George Musa about Einsteinian nonsense bullshit gravity, snapping the wand in two, of Newtonian gravity. Well, an individual Fight the Flat Earth didn't like that. So he wanted to get clarity. Now, he wasn't calling George Musa because he wanted affirmation that gravity's not a force, but that's precisely what he got. In the face of that, they still claim it's a force. Why? Well, because they're thinking of it as a force.
It's not a force. You don't have to like it. What are you going to do about it? It's not a force.
On the not really is level. Even when their priests tell them, they want to deceive themselves. Like I said yesterday, once this has been exposed, once you are enlightened, you've got no one to blame but yourselves. Me also. That's why I can chuckle about this. How stupid was I? I thought it was a globe. Wow, what an idiot. Not how dare the powers that should not be, how have they deceived me? Why have they deceived me? What is the truth? They don't owe me a thing. They let me know it was bullshit from the start. If I'd have looked into it in any slightest of details, I would have found that out. Now I have. I realise it for absolute certain. There is no sphere. It's a mere philosophy. Well, I thought it was. I thought, me. Now, it's stated otherwise in the rhetoric. George Musa's telling you verbally when you ask him, not a force. Couldn't be more clear about it. Your thoughts about the not really is level aren't really relevant here, because we do work in the really is world.